And rolling.
Okay. Today I'm making one of my favorite Christmas classics. This is my Mama's sour cream coconut cake. The recipe starts with your basic yellow cake. You can make it from a cake mix like I have, and Mama's trick was to add a teaspoon of black walnut extract, so I always do that. If you have a homemade yellow cake that you want to make, you can do that. Just make 2 layers. The cake is not that important with this recipe. The icing is the showstopper, and I'm going to show you how to make the icing now. It's only 3 ingredients. This is a 24-ounce container of sour cream. Mixed with a cup of sugar and a 14-ounce package of sweetened coconut flakes. Very simple. Just want to mix everything until it's very well incorporated and the sugar has started to dissolve. You have to prepare a little bit in advance to make this cake, and to make this frosting especially, because it needs to sit in the refrigerator overnight. I don't know why, but if you try to put the icing on the cake right after you make it, it won't stick to the cake. This is another little trick I learned from my mother. So plan ahead and give that icing time to set up. This is also the time if you'd like to make your coconut frosting look like Christmas tree. You can add a little bit of green food coloring, which we used to do also. And you can make this as a sheet cake. I had many birthday parties when I was a little girl with a tree-shaped sheet cake, a sour cream coconut cake. Okay, this is mixed well. I'm going to put a lid on it, stick it in the fridge until I need it. Give it at least 12 hours to sit. But thinking ahead as I did, I have some icing already made. I made this last night, and it is ready to go. To ice the cake, this is another little trick that I like to use. This is just some parchment paper, and I've cut it. It wants to stay still. Let me try this. Put the first layer of cake on. Put the parchment paper kind of around the edges under the cake, and it will capture, there it is. It will capture any of the extra frosting, and you won't make such a mess. I am a messy cook, and I'm an even messier baker. So this is a nice little trick. Okay, that's the first layer. Okay, now for the icing. I'm going to put a big blob in the center. And let's see, a couple of different implements. Just going to spread it out. This cake is best made several days in advance, and that way it gives time for the cake to sort of absorb the flavors of the sour cream, and it makes the cake so moist. All right, so that's the first layer. And here's the second one. Gonna do the same thing. This looks like a lot of icing, and it kind of is, but you're going to need it. Okay. So that is pretty much the top of the cake. Now this is the tricky part, and this is why that frosting needs to be really, really cold. We want it to stick to the sides. And if it hasn't had time to set up for a few hours, it falls right off. So that's definitely an important step. See how easily it sticks because it's so cold. As you can see, the cake, it did take all of the icing, and the cake is completely frosted. Now I'm going to remove the parchment paper, and if it does its job, it should take a lot of the mess that I made with it. Very good. Oops. Just need to touch up around the bottom. And clean up a little bit of the sour cream. And the cake is beautiful and ready to go. At this point, really, if you can make yourself wait, try to put it in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days and let it set. And the sour cream and the sugar, it just changes the whole texture of the cake, and it's delicious. But if you can't stand it and you have to dig in, it's also ready to go now. This was a classic recipe that my mother made and used to sell at the church bazaar, sometimes for $250 at the auction. So I'm very proud of it, and it's a Christmas classic, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Merry Christmas.
If you'd like to see more recipes like this, please subscribe. For complete ingredients and cooking instructions and to purchase cookbooks, visit cateringbydebbicovington.com.